Well, it depends because situations change, and I think we have to keep up with what is happening. And once we are in the field, meeting our citizens and understanding what their priorities are, then we will relay them to EIGE so that they can investigate them. But there is still so much which we still need to do, especially when it comes to violence against women, when it comes to the gender pay gap. There's a lot which we still have to do, but that doesn't mean that it's only these issues which are important and need working on, but any other issues which may arise.
Financial independence of women. All data we need on this. So how many women are working in sectors that are very little paid? How many women are working in areas where you think this is the future? So somehow all these areas in IT, artificial intelligence. So somehow we need data and intelligent analysis.
Well, I think there is interrelated issues. I think the backlash is enormous, and I think we need to work on both the civil society, national and European level to counter that. And very important, I do think we need to make men part of the solution.
Well, I think first and foremost, it's really continuing with the Gender Equality Index and making that really go from strength to strength. And then really continuing and deepening the work to connect the data with the policy choices. So what is it that works? And we know what works because we can see the data over time. And I think that is going to be the biggest contribution. And then linking that with the tools, creating the space for dialogue amongst policymakers. I think all of that is really, really important. And in that, I would say I would really make a particular emphasis on the gender mainstreaming and gender budgeting work, because strengthening the capacity, the knowledge, the skills and the understanding of inequality between women and men, spreading the data and the information that EIGE now has, I think will help us when we come to think of the Green New Deal, for example, and how that needs to be looked at from a gender perspective and giving really a deep gender analysis into that. Or when it comes to looking at the European Union budgets, the multi-annual financial framework, where again EIGE has done some great work to look at how tiny and minuscule amounts of resources are being deployed for equality between women and men through the EU budgets. I think also all the areas around the economy, the issues of work-life balance and care and time, I think unpacking that time part of the Gender Equality Index will be really, really important. And looking more deeply at the economy and the underlying structures which really reinforce inequality between women and men.
Gender mainstreaming, and it is a lot of it has been done on sort of gathering tools, really already sort of making people to understand what gender mainstreaming is about. But now the big challenge, especially with the dynamic team we've got in the Commission and all the hopes we put in the new President, in the new Commissioner for Equality, I think there is a chance to sort of mainstream gender issues in all policies. And I do think that the EIGE should really sort of help the Commission, help institutions to make test case for equality, for gender mainstreaming. Would it be in the climate change, in the Green Deal, for instance, or in digital, but especially as well in macroeconomic policies, in the Stability and Growth Pact. So there is a lot of work to do on gender mainstreaming specifically.
That is a little bit paradoxical situation, since it looks like that the topics which are old, at least we talk for years, they are still very relevant and still very actual to our societies. For example, the employment rate among men and women, how share of burden, family burden among men and women, the salary differences, all these topics are very important, although we have talked for and did the work to change the situation for 10 years. So I would say these topics also adding the still existing, very widely existing, the abuse against women, which is also very relevant, and we must go on with these main topics and only choose the new one when we will be successful in the result. That everyone will be equal in salary and employment rate and the burden, the share of the burden in families and so on.
EIGE means expertise, EIGE means knowledge, support and know-how. And in that manner, I think it's a continuing of strengthening capacities of line stakeholders in their efforts to develop gender equality policies that are aligned with EU standards and values.
I would like to say men's violence against women, because that's a huge problem. But I also think they have to work in general to really get people to realize that gender equality issues are human rights issue, because we have also this a situation in Europe that are quite difficult now. So.
Work-life balance for parents and carers. Definitely, especially in view of the transposition of the provisions into national law by 2 August 2022, which has already been proving difficult for EU member states and challenging. So, yeah.
I think that we need to focus on things that are happening that are going to influence on the future. Basically, it means to work on young people, because there are some kind of stop in the incorporation to equality, to work on the digital agenda, artificial intelligence, robotics, because these kind of things can be used under the male conception of this instrument to continue with the reality. So to focus on what in a few years is going to be the present, it means to work on young people and with new technologies.